It just wasn't to be for the Indian cricket team. The most dominating team of this tournament. They had won 11 of the 11 games that they had played, had reached the final as the overwhelming favourites. But on the day, it was the opposition. It was the team that was wearing yellow that came out on tops. And that's not an unusual occurrence on the cricket field. That is why Australia is the most successful team in World Cup history. This is Australia's 6th world title, by far the most by any other team. Just to let you know the big gap that there is between Australia and every other team, the second most successful team, there's a tie between India and West Indies at 2 titles apiece. Australia now increasing that gap. That was already 5-2. Now that goes on to become 6 world titles for the Australian team. 2, the second best, with the Indian team and the West Indian team. Remember, India had a chance of narrowing that gap of most titles today. They went in, as I mentioned, as the team that everyone was talking about, as the team that seemed to have no flaws. But on the day, without doubt, you'd have to say the better team won, the team that executed their plans very well, whether it was in bowling, whether it was in batting, whether it was also decision-making at the time of the toss. And you'd have to give credit to most of those members of the Australian team, starting with the captain in Pat Cummins. And then, of course, we'll spend the next hour and a half as we look back at this final, talking about a certain Travis Head, who has been outstanding for Australia. As an Indian fan, you'd remember Travis Head very well. I was there at the Oval not too long ago at the WTC final. That was India's chance to become the Test champion, and at that time there was a certain Travis Head that played a blinder of a knock, took that title away from India, and the same batter has done it again in the final of the World Cup. 137 is what Travis Head got on the day, and now he joins an illustrious company of some centurions that Australia has had during World Cup finals. The names that come to my mind are Ricky Ponting, who got it in that 2003 final, and then, of course, Adam Gilchrist, who got it in that 2007 final. Travis Head, now, as I mentioned, in illustrious company. Joining me on the program is Robin Uthappa. We'll also be joined by various other panelists. Our consulting editor, Rajdeep Sardesai, will be joining us very, very shortly. We'll go to another world champion in Suresh Raina as we look back, dissect the performance of the Indian team, not just in this World Cup, but also looking back at the entire tournament, where they did the country proud with their performance. Robin, straight up, what went wrong today?
Well,
too many things to list?
No, actually, I wouldn't like to go into what went wrong. I think I'd like to start off with what an incredible tournament we've had. I think as an Indian team, the way we've dominated through the entire tournament has been fantastic. And I think credit must be given to the entire team management, the players, the captain. Everything went beautifully through the entire tournament. We had one off game, and that happened to be in the final at the last hurdle. And I think, honestly, it's not like we played terrible cricket. Honestly, I think it was the conditions were against us. The conditions clearly got better when batting second came about. So dew certainly played a factor. And I think more thought must be given to, especially when you're playing in home conditions, you're playing a tournament like the World Cup in home conditions, a little bit more thought must be given to what kind of a wicket you want to give on that particular day, because I think that plays a big part in the outcome of a game. Because if you look at it, in all the good conditions or batting-friendly conditions, so to speak, where the ball comes onto the bat, our fast bowlers bowled exceptionally well. And I thought pace off the wicket today, that's where we struggled a little bit, because it was a slow wicket. It was too paced in the first innings. In the second innings, when the dew came on, it came on nicely to the bat, but didn't have that extra zip that guys like Shami and Bumrah could exploit.
I'll get Suresh Raina's thoughts as well on the pitch, and that's the piece of discussion that we'll start our program with. The focus goes on to the pitch. Firstly, was it the right kind of a track for a World Cup final?
No, like I just said, I don't think it was. I'd rather have a high-scoring game and then have a two-paced wicket on a final of a World Cup tournament, because that tends to kind of leave it to the conditions than the skills of players, right? They've played on good conditions so far. You don't mind getting those kind of wickets as one-off during the course of a tournament, but I think in the final of a tournament, you want to have a really fair and even track for both sides so that the team with the better skills on that day end up winning. This is just becoming a little bit more one-sided, lopsided, to be very honest.
A lottery?
Yeah, a little bit of a lottery. A lot depends on the toss, and a World Cup final shouldn't necessarily depend on the toss.